We're going to hear about how aviation is so great for the economy, utterly sustainable and can be carbon neutral. Well, we've already heard some information there about the science, and I'd like to shatter some myths about the rest of that.
They say it's all about jobs. There are 19,000 jobs at the airport, and there's the indirect jobs as well. But aviation is actually quite inefficient at creating jobs. Per pound of investment into industry, it's better to put that money elsewhere and you create more jobs out of it. And then you don't have the problems of climate change either.
In aviation's favour, it has a 10 billion, these are all per annum figures, contribution to the GDP. And I really did try to put all the things down there that it has in its favour. So it has this contribution and it has the jobs. So we've dealt with the jobs, now on the economy side of it. But on the against side, it's got the subsidies that support the public money that goes into aviation in the form of tax breaks, and they're not being VAT on the domestic flights. There's the health costs, the tourism deficit, because for every pound that comes in, between £2.30 and £2.60 go out of the country. 300 million in the cost of dealing with the noise problems, and the cost of climate change. We don't yet know what figure is going to be on that. We already know it's 160,000, at least 160,000 lives per year. But in terms of the figure, we don't yet have that. We know it's cheaper to prevent it than it is to deal with the costs. And the cost to the Manchester taxpayer, the net cost is £141 a year when you take into account the money that comes into the council through the dividends from the airport. So, sustainable aviation, I'm sorry, what do you mean? It's just simply not sustainable. It's great aspirations to go towards being carbon neutral, but it won't change the fact that Manchester Airport has double the emissions of Uganda. Then there's the issue of demand, that the airport say that they're responding to the demand of the public. Well, I would say that the demand is being encouraged by the airports, by the aviation industry, by the government, and that actually that demand is not there, it's being forced. Callum agrees that that rail is actually now more sustainable. It makes more sense to do that for our domestic journeys. I believe that aviation is going to have a downturn at some point in the future. This is not because of people making choices about climate change, it's peak oil. Simply, it's going to run out. I think it would be more responsible for the industry to be looking at sustainable industries and now acknowledging the problem, halting the expansion and building a transition towards sustainable industry like food production, alternative energies, even video conferencing. Who will need to fly? Who will be able to fly? We're the last generation that can do anything about climate change. We can treat this as like an opportunity instead of a problem. If we work together in Manchester, we could be proud of being Mancunians. We could build on the great industry, IT, social movements of the past. We've had abolitionists, we've had suffragettes, and it's now time to work together to look towards the alternatives.